Yo, what's up? It's Driscoll. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down this huge dubstep drop. Alright, so initially when I started this drop, I had an idea. It doesn't really happen often. Usually I never know what I'm going to do. But this time I wanted to remix a metal song. To do this, I chose one of my favorite metal song ever. The song is from Children of Bodom and it's called Banned from Heaven. So the first thing I did was simply recreating the main melody using a basic preset in Vital. The preset I used was the pluck string and the melody sounds like this. But then I needed the actual guitars playing, so I recorded all the guitars myself. So I started by just recording the chords. So I had to record it 2 times because I wanted to pan one on the left and the other one on the right, because this is how metal is recorded really. So, and to get the tone I have, I just used an STL amp. This is the Meridian 65. It's a really good sim. I'm using it all the time. This is my settings. Nothing special, just basic metal. And then I recorded the lead guitar. So the tone here is the same amp, and I just added a little bit more high end to the sound. So now that we have this, all the guitars sounds like that. Now for the drums, nothing special here. We're just gonna go over them real quick. I use a Kompany sample for the kick. For the snare, I just use one from this EDM template pack. The hi-hat is a short, closed hi-hat from Kashmir. And then the crash is from Kompany samples. So now all together the drums sound like this. And now for the basses. So first thing happening in the drop is the guitar melody, because I wanted to do kind of a really strong switch up. It starts dropping with the guitars and everything and then switch up to really heavy basses. So the first hit of the drop is the guitars and the Vital preset playing the main melody. And to this, I added 2 other presets. The first one is a simple super saw preset, 16 voices on 2 saw waves. A little bit of delay and reverb. And the second one is just a really low bass. So now all together, the first bar of the drop sounds like this. And then I cut the last measure and I added this vocal sample that says switch. I just ripped it off a song, so sorry about that. And then jumping into the basses. The first bass I made for this drop is the actual main bass, and it sounds like this. So this bass is a simple FM bass using a square wave and a monster wavetable for the FM. The filter I use is the all-pass filter with LFO movement, and it sounds like this without any processing. Then I added some hyperdimension, a soft clip, a short delay on 30 milliseconds, multiband compressor, and then a high notch filter. And for the post-processing, I started with an OTT. The output is up, the time is 1000%, and the amount is down. Then I added some more delay on 30 milliseconds. a saturator at 12 decibel with the soft clip on and the output down. And then just an EQ to cut out the low end and shape a little bit the high end frequencies. On top of this, I have this kind of hyper bass playing quarter notes. So what this is simply 2 saw wave on 16 voices unison with a comp filter. There's an LFO on the coarse pitch of the 2 wavetables, and then the level is modulated by this LFO here. And to this sound, I just have a compressor, a little bit of reverb, and some EQing. And then in post-processing, I just have another EQ cutting the low end and also cutting out the low end on the sides, boosting a little bit the high ends, and then an OTT on top of this. And for this hyper bass, I'm also separating it in 2 sections. One is on a low note and the other one is an octave higher. And then the next bass I created was this half note pattern bass that's playing in the background. It's like a simple growl playing a bit slower than the rest. It's just to add more rhythm to the drop. So here's how it sounds without any processing. Again, this is an FM. I'm using the Monster 6. This is being FM'd by a saw wave, and this saw wave is also being FM'd by the sub, and I'm using a square wave to do this. Then I added this high peak filter with a high resonance and, movement on the peak and the cutoff to add this kind of growl sounds. In the effects section, I have a hyper dimension, tube distortion, multiband compressor, and this EQ that's basically just acting like a high pass filter. And then in post-processing, I have this OTT with the output up, time up, and amount is down. A saturator with the drive at 6 dB, soft clip is on and output is down. And then I'm just EQing the low end and a little bit on the high end just to make it fit into the mix with all the other basses. And then of course we have a sustain. So same thing, this one is not very special. It's a saw wave being FM by this basic shape here. I don't know what that wave is. There's the sync on. I'm using a reverb filter. So this is how the patch sounds without any processing. And then I added a hyper dimension and a downsample distortion, a little bit of chorus and multiband compressor. And the chorus here is making it wider in the speakers. And then in post-processing, I have this OTT. So same thing again, output is up, time is up, amount is down. The saturator at 17 dB, output is down 6 dB and soft clip is on. And then I added this erosion on white noise just to add noise to the sustain. And then I'm EQing the low end and a little bit on the mids as well. Then we have a reverb. And then the most important of this sustain is the auto pan, going really fast and creating this machine gun pattern. And on the second part of the drop, I changed a little bit the sustain. I simply changed the basic shapes that I used for the FM. I might have changed a little bit the FM and the sync, and I turned off this reverb filter. And then for the sub bass, it's just a sine wave with a lot of distortion and compression and EQ, and it sounds like this. And then I use the same trick that I explained in my previous video, where I took my sub bass and my main bass and I grouped them together separately, and I just clipped them really hard at 6 dB here. So without the G clip, that's how the sub bass and the main bass sound. But if I add the clip, that's how it sounds. So you see the difference, really distorted and really heavy, loud sounds. And yeah, that's basically it for the basses. We have the all the elements that we need: a main bass, a hyper bass, a sustain, a slower half note growl playing in the background. And then going forward into this drop, I'm just bringing back the guitars at the beginning of each section. And to keep the basses interesting, for the first part of the drop, I added a macro on the FM and on the filter just to make it sound a little bit different. And then for the B section, I just duplicated the main bass into another patch, and I changed the FM wavetable. But all the effects and the processing is basically the same as the first bass. And I also added a sync to the second bass just because I wanted to have it more, you know, high pitched. And same thing, the macro is on the FM and the cutoff, and it changes the sound for the second part in this section. And then for the riddim, I'm simply automating the LFO rate to go 8 notes on, you know, some different places in the drop. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, if you learned something, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to not miss any of the future videos. I'm gonna play it one more time for you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.